Hey, good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome back to Dolphins on Five. I'm David Eversole, joined, of course, by Alfredo Arteaga from 3 Yards per Carry. Week one is finally here of the NFL season. We are excited to get things going tonight with a big Thursday night football matchup between the Bills and the Rams. Before we start, I want to mention, of course, one of our great sponsors here at the Five Reasons Network, Prize Picks Daily Fantasy. A lot of plays tonight for the Thursday night football game. Both Alfredo and myself will have our top picks for the game before we end tonight. So make sure to sign up with promo code FIVE. 100% deposit match up to $100. So, Alfredo, good to be back with you again this week. And we're excited. Football's back, finally here.
Yeah, pretty excited for this game tonight. It's a great matchup, and we'll have a prize pick to give out toward the end of the show. Well, I think I kind of like my play. I really like my play.
No, yours is
And
solid, man. I like yours too. I think mine is pretty good as well. But want to talk about first, obviously, this is Dolphins on Five. So, of course, before we touch on the Thursday night game, got a lot to report from the team leading up to the Week One matchup with New England. Injury report changed a little bit from yesterday's initial report to today. So, want to give us a couple updates on the players and where we're at leading up to Sunday?
yeah, one thing is really interesting. After all of this time, almost 3 weeks with Waddle's, mystery injury, it was revealed it was a quad. But he is working on the side. He has been limited in practice all week. The coach said that he's very, very, very. He used three verys. Confident that he'll play on Sunday. I expect him to play, but that wasn't the big story on the injury report. The big story on the injury report was that Nick Needham, all this time, we were thinking he was limited because of his finger, and we know he jammed his finger or maybe even dislocated it uh, in the preseason. But it turns out he also has a quad injury, and if he can't go for any reason, that starts to change things because now you're down two starting players in your secondary, and you got to dig a little bit deeper into your depth to try to field the defenses that you want to play because they want to play a lot of nickel, they want to play a lot of dime, especially against the type of team that's coming in here. New England does not have a fullback on the roster. They have two tight ends on the roster. I think they're tipping their hand of what they're going to do and how they're going to line up. You're going to need defensive backs to play against this team. So that was the interesting part of the entire injury report. Other than that, they had full participation. Just Alec Engel, Nick Needham worked on the side. So they're relatively healthy going into this first game.
What about Raekwon Davis? I saw a report that was he limited today in practice a little bit?
Yeah, the injury list came out and it had him also as limited with a knee issue. Uh, I think those are just knickknacks from training camp. Well, we're learning as we go here with this coach because every coach does it differently, right? Some coaches decide to just put everybody on there. There were times in the very near past where the New England Patriots would have 20 to 25 guys on the injury report, all limited. And Tom Brady was there for like 6 or 7 weeks with a shoulder issue. Tom Brady played through all those games. So we're learning how this coach will handle those issues going forward. So far, all we know is that he's pretty coy about things. He's definitive about others. He also had a lot of confidence about Byron Jones, and Byron Jones ended up going on the pup for 4 weeks. So I guess we'll learn what those designations mean after Sunday. We'll see who plays, who suits up, who's active, who is not, and that'll tell us a lot about how they're going to handle the injury report every single week.
Right. And speaking of handling things, obviously the Patriots came down this week a little bit earlier than you would typically expect for a week one matchup to try to acclimate themselves to the conditions. Do you really think there's any substance to that? I know a lot of these guys in the league, I mean, they played high school and college ball in the South, in Texas, California, Florida. Do you really think it's such a big deal to come down here in advance and prepare for the conditions, or do you think that's kind of one of the things that's a little bit overblown in this instance?
I think it's an awful thing. I think it's a bad idea. But it's Bill Belichick. It's his team, right? But, while you're down here, the CBA doesn't say anything about, keeping your players under lock and key. Those guys could do whatever they want. Now, there are in the Palm Beach area, so it's a little far from, the playgrounds that we have down here in the
They got
South.
Rachel's up that way, I think. A couple.
Yeah. So, I guess they could play golf, but I think it's a distraction. You're uprooting them from their own homes. I think that if you're going to go into somewhere where it's really, really hot or even really, really, really cold and miserable, do you really want to go and be in that misery for 4 or 5 days? And in this case, do you really want to open up your team to all the distractions that there can be? I think I would just rather get on a plane on Saturday, get here in the afternoon, and then play the next day. I think that's the best thing you can do. This reeks of desperation, but evidently they're doing it for some type of reason, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they start this game. Obviously, it's going to be an electric atmosphere on Sunday. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to this game. So, any other news and notes from this week leading up to obviously a huge matchup before we jump into the Thursday night action a little bit?
The only other news that I guess you can deduce from this week is that there's a little bit clearer determination of who is actually calling the plays. They say Matt Patricia is actually going to call the plays. So he's calling the plays, and I guess he'll watch them through Bill Belichick. So that's interesting. You're going to have a failed head coach whose expertise it was on the defensive side of the ball, calling plays on the offense. So I guess that's interesting as well, right? They had a bad preseason by any measure. Uh, can it get worse? Yeah, because now teams are game planning. Dolphin pass rush could get after the New England Patriots, and I just find their roster completely peculiar. It's the most it's the most unpatriot like roster in recent memory. 2 tight ends and no fullbacks whatsoever. So they're going to be in 11 personnel the entire game, then occasionally 12 personnel. It's just odd.
Yeah, they definitely don't seem to really have a clear direction, which is odd, of course, for a Belichick team. You kind of knew what you're going to get year after year, and now I don't know if it just seems like he's going through the motions in terms of roster construction. But we'll take that any day. But I wouldn't just go ahead and count them out of this game. Obviously, you feel like they're going to come out prepared to play, regardless of the talent level of the team at this point and how the continuity is. I don't think this is a walkover for Miami in any shape, at least maybe early. But, definitely the tables have turned in terms of perception with these two teams, obviously. It's going to be interesting to see, the chess match between Belichick and McDaniels in terms of game time, live action, situational football with such a disparity in experience. Maybe that could perhaps close the gap a little bit, between the lines. So, any thoughts on that and how you think McDaniel might approach this matchup with Belichick a little bit?
Well, he says that he's been game planning for this his entire life, right? So, I don't have any information on this, but I would say you're going to see something exciting. You're going to see something, maybe he reaches into his bag a little bit. So I think it's something that, I'm interested to see what he's going to do and what his offense is actually going to look like, because I got a good look at it in practices during the summer, in training camp. We saw none of it, really none of it in the preseason games. So I'm interested to see what I saw implemented out in real practice with all of their players that they acquired. And I do expect Mike McDaniel to reach into that bag. I expect some creativity, and maybe he'll do too much, but maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a fun vibe around this team in just terms of what potentially could happen on Sunday. But an important game tonight in terms of the AFC East power structure, obviously, with the Bills facing off with the Rams tonight. A really, really good game to kick off the season. You like to see two top tier teams in your first game. So excited to look at the prize pick board. I know you had some good plays tonight, so we're going to bring that up here and just get some thoughts on the Sunday night or the Thursday night game, before we wrap it up here. So let me just bring that up here. And all right, so obviously we've got the free square too as well with Tom Brady over just half a passing yard. So you compare any of the guys that we picked tonight and pair it with that Brady pick, and hopefully you got a winner there. So Alfredo, who do you like tonight on the prize pick board for Buffalo and the Rams?
Well, remember, if you make a deposit tonight, you use the promo code 5 FIVE, and you get a max deposit up to $100. If you use this free square, you can bet as much as $25 on this play. I bet $25 on this play. Of course, I have Tom Brady in the free square over half a yard. I have a Cowboy friend of mine who I asked him, hey, I gave him the code and he signed up with Prize Picks today. And I told him about this, and he goes, man, I'm tempted to take Tom Brady under half a yard, but the homer in him wouldn't, was pushing him that way, but his brain didn't allow him to do it. So I got Brady on the free square, and I'm taking Allen Robinson. Look, you didn't pay what you paid Allen Robinson this year just to be an afterthought on the other side of Cooper Kupp. You got to figure that Cooper Kupp is going to be, is going to have most of the focus of the Buffalo Bills defense. Allen Robinson, I took him over 5 receptions. And I don't think that's crazy. I think that's a pretty safe bet because I think he's not going to draw most of the Bills' defense. I think that's going to be devoted to Cooper Kupp. I think they might even blitz Matthew Stafford some, and Allen Robinson is their 50-50 ball guy and their fly guy. So you might see him even catch a couple of 9 routes. But if there's a guy who's going to be hot on slants and on quick outs, it's going to be Allen Robinson. So I took him over 5 receptions. I also took Dawson Knox. Okay, this is more of a hunch play. Dawson Knox for the Buffalo Bills, pretty good tight end. And he's been a good tight end since he's been there. They cut O.J. Howard. He was their free agent pickup, and that a lot of people thought was going to be their tight end 1. Dawson Knox fought him off, and not only did he fight him off, but they actually cut O.J. Howard. I think he'll be part of the offense, especially today with Jalen Ramsey out on Stephon Diggs. His number is just 3. So I took over on that as well. So to recap, I got the Tom Brady free square. I got Allen Robinson over 5 receptions, and I got Dawson Knox over 3 receptions for $25, and that pays $125 if it hits. And remember, all you got to do is hit 2 because you already got the free square with Tom Brady.
Yeah, the 5-time payout is nice there. I'm going to go to the Rams side as well, and I think this is going to be a pretty good game in terms of offensive production from both teams. I like Cam Akers over 11.5 receiving yards. I think that's going to be a pretty reasonable number for him to hit. He's going to see maybe 3 or 4 targets, and I think he could probably pick that up on 1 reception. Honestly, if they got to dump the ball down, Buffalo has a pretty good front 4, front 7, obviously. So, Stafford may need to have a couple checkdowns there late in the half or late in the quarter on certain drives, trying to move the ball down the field. I think Akers sees a few targets and goes over 11.5 receiving yards for this game. I'm going to pair that with the Brady pick. I did a 2 pick on this one for the 25 as well.
All right.
So hopefully we have a good game for Dolphins fans. The homer me is maybe pulling for the Rams in this one, of course. But it should be a really exciting game. Great to have football back. We got a lot more action now with Prize Picks with the NFL season kicking off tonight. So make sure to follow us. Sign up with promo code FIVE. And we're going to have a lot more Dolphins content this weekend. Alfredo, what do you guys got going on with 3 yards per carry leading up to Sunday?
Well, we dropped our season preview and our week 1 preview last night. That's all in one tidy podcast that runs about an hour and 2 minutes. So you got plenty to listen to until Sunday. And then next week, we go back into our routine. We'll be dropping our recap on Monday and our previews on Thursday. And we're back to 2 a week next week.
Look forward to everybody's content this weekend from the network, and look forward to seeing the fans out there on Sunday at the Hard Rock Stadium. So thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you all next time.